What's up, Blueprint family? How are you all doing? Tonight is Marriage Fit Friday. We
Yay.
made it to the weekend. Congratulations. Hard work. To those who've been working all day, relax. And thank you all for settling down with us.
Yeah, get something good to eat.
Yes. And tonight we are going to be talking about how to check your relationship's temperature. What does that mean? Um, I'm pretty sure a lot of you don't understand what that means. This is something that's new to me as well. New to me and my wife. And this is some great, valuable information on pretty much a review assessment of your
Mhm.
relationship.
Yep. Assessment of the perception of from both your spouse and your perceptions, as well as the overall condition, the overall health, in a way, right, of your relationship and how you guys are feeling.
Right. Um, you know, Also to be mindful that this assessment should be done when there are no challenges in your relationship, meaning no arguments,
Mm-hmm.
no fighting, no fussing, things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
When you're in a safe space in your relationship, when things are smooth sailing,
Mm-hmm.
that is the best time to really do these um, assessments, and we're going to tell you why in a few minutes.
Yep. Yep. That is so true. I love that just doing this temperature check really gives an opportunity for you to come in and communicate as a team and engage with each other too as a team. Just a natural way of checking in. Like my husband said, it doesn't have to be all the time, especially if you're in a good space after you have done this check a couple times. Maybe once a week or once a month, as your need sees fit. But yeah, it's really nice to be able to do this when you're not having conflict because you can really use it as a way to benefit you.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. And then, like I said, it's a review to see what things you can increase on, things that you can enhance in your relationship, and then also to, we're going to get into it, but it's a great way to understand areas of improvement in your relationship.
Yeah, understand your spouse, build trust and cohesion. That's super good within a relationship to keep it going throughout the years as a way to build onto that?
Yep.
So, why perform a relationship temperature check? Well, it allows you to stay ahead of the curve, like my husband was saying about. When it comes to a relationship, you're going to have your challenges, your ups, your downs, your, super high moments, on those maybe rough moments where you guys got to really dig deep and get through it, right? So, in those moments, it's really good to be ahead of the curve by recognizing, hey, let's check in and see what's going good or maybe what's not going good and could be a possible reason why we have an argument later on if it's left unchecked.
Right. It helps to minimize risks in your
Mm-hmm.
relationship. So I always
Yeah.
preach minimizing risks and reviewing your relationship, or even just reviewing you and the way that you communicate throughout your relationship is a great way to minimize risks. And
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by risks, arguments,
Mm-hmm.
things that you may continue to do that may raise arguments.
Okay.
That may lead into divorce. So you don't want to put yourself in this situation to where you're doing things or in your relationship that may um, constitute a divorce.
Right.
You know, just
Right.
being mindful, just getting your mind in check about
Mm-hmm.
maintaining your marriage and being happy in your marriage.
Mm-hmm. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, it allows you to connect and engage with your spouse. So that keeps that happy feelings flowing where you're actually in love and in a connection time with your spouse and those good moments, bad moments, and all those moments in between because you're checking in. It's also a great opportunity to be able to create constantly a safe space. So it's a reminder that, hey, this is a safe space. You can come in here and we'll talk about it, and I'll even check in on you just to make sure that you are still feeling good and this relationship is still in its good, stable state.
Right. And then like I said, it'll make sure that you prevent any misunderstandings or miscommunications in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. That's always a good thing, especially too if you if your spouse is having a hard time and you're not aware of it. And that can actually create an opportunity for you to change it around because, hey, I'm now aware of something that I didn't even know was a problem at first. And it could have even become a bigger problem if it was still out of my awareness. But now that it's in my awareness, I can have the opportunity to change my experience for my spouse because clearly something is going on within their overall perception of the relationship that needs to be lightened up. And you definitely want your spouse to see you in a good way and to see the whole relationship in a good way.
Right. Most definitely, because we're not mind readers.
Right.
So it's often at times it's great to review areas where you can help out. I know I can,
Me
when it
too.
comes to
We all
certain
can.
things.
Yeah, every single day. Every single day. It's just a great opportunity to improve yourself and grow. And that's what a relationship is all about. And often we say it's a marathon, right? It's not something that you're going to run off the bat and finish the race really fast. No, it's a nice thing that you have to train for and really build up its stamina. You get better and better as time go on and you got to push through. When things get hard, you hit that marathon time where you're almost at home, but you're losing your energy, but you manage to keep pushing through and finish. And that's what it's really about. Yep. So, when to use the relationship temperature check? We kind of talked about this before when we said, it's not something that you use in moments of challenges because that can really skew your overall perception of your relationship. You can be in a challenge and think, oh, this is so terrible, when in all actuality, you have more good moments than you actually do those terrible moments. So, you don't want to focus so much on the terrible moments because not only is it going to increase more terrible moments because you're focused on it, but it'll skew your perception of your overall relationship and kind of give you a misguided judgment.
Right. And then also too, it will help also to point out areas, like I said before, areas of improvement.
Yeah.
Place also to understanding like where you are in the relationship. You're more mindful of what stage you are in your relationship, and then also to you will understand the needs and wants of your spouse as well.
Yes.
And also of yourself. You'll be more mindful of what you need out of this relationship as well. So it's a good way to prepare yourself for an open communication with your spouse.
Yep. I like that because especially if your spouse is in a high stress situation or going through a rough time that may not directly involve you, but it can involve you in the sense of you'll have to maybe tailor how you conduct yourself in the relationship or even things that you can do to help your spouse feel better in their time of stress. That would be something out of the normal that you would regularly do. So it would have to be something you go in and check in on and say, hey, how can I help you in this moment of stress that you're going through? How can I better assist you? And so that we can work through it together.
Yep. Well said.
Yep. So it'd be a good time to get some paper because now we're going to go over the way to do this. And it's a full-on process. So there are going to be some questions that you're going to have to ask yourself and really dig in deep and have an honest conversation with yourself about how you feel, because this is going to give you your perception, which is super important and needs to be honest, as well as the time to go in and ask your spouse these questions, which sometimes may be intimidating, but if you can at least get it through first with yourself, you might feel a little more comfortable going in and asking your spouse.
Or either do this together as an exercise where you all are writing these questions down and answering them, and then providing the paper back to your spouse and say, here's my answers. Especially if you all are still shy about talking to each other. That if you are, then that's something that you all need to improve on.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't have any issues communicating at all in your relationship about anything. Your spouse is your best friend, so you need to, communicate with them as such. You don't want to be in a relationship where you're communicating with your best friend more than your spouse. So right. So you want to be able to answer these questions truthfully, honestly, and give your best answers so that you all can get the best results from this exercise.
Yep. Well, you want to go to the first one?
Yeah. So the first question is, how well do you and your spouse listen to each other? That's a good question. That listening involves great eye contact, active listening, making sure that you repeat some of the words back to your spouse so that they understand that you're listening. And And then if you are not doing so, what are the things that you all plan on doing to better improve that?
Mhm.
Um, and if you all can, draft that information down, I think that's a good start as far as answering questions and then reevaluating and reviewing your relationship.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep. Because it's actually a good opportunity for you to be able to figure out, am I actually hearing all that my spouse has to say? Am I being able to respond in a way that's helpful with my spouse? And then also, are they able feeling like they're being heard by me as well? So just both ways, you seeing, how you're feeling about the communication within the relationship and how they're seeing about it.
right. Um, because you want to be a good listener.
Mhm.
And especially if you have the opportunity to review it, then you can give yourself an honest answer, then actively try to be a better listener moving forward.
Mhm.
It's all about being mindful. You're not mindful unless you actually practice these things. You need to be aware of them first of all, your
Mhm.
level of communication and how well you are able to listen to your spouse.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you'll get better at it, is that if you can review it, understand how well you are an active listener, and then also to apply the changes that you need to make in order to become better at it.
Yep. Yep. Right. That's so true. And also to remember, this is not a time to beat up on each other. So for sure, or beat up on yourself. So for sure, just look at it as a moment to work on those things and not a chance to say, "Well, it's me. I'm so bad at this," or whatever. Or more so focus on, I can get better at this. I'm going to get better at this, and so this is what I'm gonna do.
Mhm.
Yep. The next question: how willing are you to take responsibility for your role in your relationship? That's a big one. We always talk about is accountability, and how much of accountability are you going to take for the role in your relationship? And that's a big one, especially if you struggle with that. You don't really, if it's a new relationship, so you don't really know how you're, coming off or how you're operating within the relationship. So just having that accountability to say, hey, am I doing a good job? Am I being the spouse that you want me to be? Am I playing my role the way you want me to play it? Because I may think that I am, but you just want to make sure that your spouse thinks you are too.
Or either just being honest with yourself and say that, look, I'm not doing this enough, and I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I should
Yeah.
have, walked the dog this morning because you couldn't, or whatever the case may be, and just being forward and honest
Yeah.
about those answers, and then think of ways that you can improve
Mm-hmm.
your responsibility in the relationship.
Yep. Yep. That is so true. The next question: have you been willing to make compromises with your spouse?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, that's really big to see, analyze, where have I made the compromises? Because that's a celebratory moment too. If you're noticing, like, hey, I am doing this, that's great, because that's important.
Right, but opposite of that too is that you'll recognize whether you're being competitive in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Yeah.
you're not willing to compromise, what you're actively doing is trying to compete to win an argument. That's the way that I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not willing to compromise in the relationship, or either you're very selfish, so that you may
Mm-hmm.
discover things about that you need to fix
Yeah.
with yourself to become more marriage fit. There we go. We,
Yep.
we incorporated marriage fit
Yeah, that's
into
what this
Friday.
is all about. And I like that too, the thought of that, because that's what really this temperature check does, is it helps you see how fit I still am.
Right.
Are we still in shape? Are we, slacking up? How we doing?
I mean, this is also good too. Thinking of it for young couples, new
Mhm.
couples,
Yeah.
people who are not married,
Mhm.
also as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you all are dating with the intention on getting married, answer some of these questions.
Mhm.
Should be some of the questions that you all focus on, and not just go through your lives on a day to day task, or the regular day to day stuff that you all do in a relationship.
Yep.
These things will actually prove and show to both of you all that you all are committed in this
Mhm.
relationship. I mean, if I wish I had known these things
Yeah.
in the past, and understood that you need to be mindful of these questions
Mhm.
in order to progress in the right way in your relationship.
Yep. Yeah, and you're merging lives together. So you really are
Right.
going to have to compromise. There's no way around that, so that you both are feeling fulfilled from the relationship. So in your daily lives, is it a small compromise of who does walk the dog or who does cook breakfast or who does the, whatever the compromise is within that relationship time? And as well as, likes and dislikes, sensitivities and stuff. Are you compromising on the movies you're watching, the places you go eat? The things, the activities you do are sometimes the man picking is sometimes the man picking the activity, or is sometimes the woman picking the activity, just having the shared experiences of merging lives.
Right. Or, how are you all initiating sex? Is it
Hmm.
one-sided?
Yeah, that's
Also talk
true.
about, how you all want to go about having foreplay or improvements in your sexual relations, things
Yep.
like that. You can use this as an opportunity to do that as
Yep.
well.
That is so true.
And then also, like my wife was saying, touching on chores and things around the house.
Hmm.
You all help each other around the house. You can use this moment to establish roles. We talked about that
Hmm.
this week, establishing roles and what that looks like in a marriage.
Hmm.
So,
Yep, for you, because it's different for everybody. So it's important to have that conversation specifically for you.
right. So, you compromise on those duties, the day-to-day duties.
Hmm.
Because you don't want to make assumptions and assume.
Yeah.
You know, your girlfriend might say, well, I ain't took the trash out this morning because you normally do it every day. And
Yeah.
then you may have some issue going on or something. Be like, I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going through something. And then that's an opportunity to talk about things.
In a healthy manner. Yep, because it's not an argument time. It's actually a time to check in and just say, "Hey, things are going good. So, like, how can we make things better? Are you being compromised enough? Am I being compromised
Right.
enough?
Right. Because what
Yeah,
you don't want to do is take each other for granted in the
yeah,
relationship and
yep,
assume and generalize and say that you always do this. So, that's the reason why I didn't do it. But,
yeah.
you can understand that, hey, we're trying to, negotiate something
Mm-hmm.
here. Let's negotiate our chores or who's going to wash the dishes tonight
Yep.
because,
Yeah.
I'm not up for it or I'm not feeling well or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is great to compromise. That's all it actually called, in my eyes, negotiating.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to
Yeah.
negotiate in the relationship so that you all are clear on who's going to do what and then who's part, understanding their roles in the day to day of the
Yeah.
relationship and who's doing what.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. That is so true. Conversely, let's say when it comes to compromising, do you and your spouse recognize the qualities you enjoy and appreciate about each other? So this is very common when it comes to when I thought of compromise, because who's good at what? So do you take the time to recognize each other and their good qualities that you have, your stronger qualities that you have, and making sure that you guys are working towards those qualities, having the best foot forward based off of the person on the team, right? The quarterback plays quarterback because he's the best for that position. So yeah, looking into that. And then also, um is there anything left unsaid about how you feel about your spouse? Do you want to hear it more? Are you getting fulfilled in that sense of, hey, is this something that, I need to hear more about? I don't feel like you understand my likes and, the things that I am going through, or, appreciate me for who I am. Is this a good time for you to say this? Well, this would be a good time for you to say, hey, you know, tell me a little bit more about this more often. Compliment me more about this more often. I want to feel appreciated a little bit more about this more often, so that then you can do those things.
right. And then also to discuss your love language
Mm-hmm.
and ways that you like to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody communicates differently.
Yeah.
I like touch. I like,
Yep.
touch. And I, illustrated that to my wife today, dealing with our son and how
Mm-hmm.
he's more responsive when you touch his shoulder and talk to him.
Yeah.
I get direct eye contact with him when that happens. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody's receptive in that same way. So, talk about those things too, about what's the best way to grab your attention. How can I
Mm-hmm.
grab your attention more better,
Mm-hmm.
and have you more responsive in the way that I'm communicating with you?
Yep. That is true. So also, the next question would be, when you and your spouse disagree, are you able to express your concerns without feeling cut off or worried about how your spouse will react? And if you are both able to express your concerns, are you able to do so gently and respectfully? Or does either of you become harsh or ridiculing? So it's the both sides of the coin. Are you, one, being able to express yourself openly without feeling rejected? And then two, am I also making sure to express myself in a way that's not harsh or ridiculing my spouse as well? So how am I being received as well?
Right. Yeah. Especially the cut off one. I mean, that's very
Mhm.
off putting when you're trying to communicate with someone and then they interject while you're talking, because that
Mhm.
lets you know that they're not listening to you at all.
Yeah.
And that's that can be very annoying in the relationship. And it lets you feel, it helps it makes you feel alone in the conversation. It's not a dialogue at that moment, because the
Mhm.
other person is not trying to allow you to finish and get your point across and express how you are feeling.
Mhm.
So it's very important to allow your significant other to finish what they are saying, and be mindful not to cut them off. It's all about respect.
Mhm.
You want to maintain a high level of respect in your relationship because you value who you are with.
Mhm.
That person is a reflection of you. So
Yeah.
if you value yourself, then by all means allow them to finish what they're saying so that you can better understand each other and communicate to a situation where you all can resolve if there is a conflict. If there isn't, then understand that if they bring that up to you, or if these are things that you are doing, you need to do a better job next time by not cutting that person off in a situation to what if they're trying to talk or communicate with you, because what happens is that they're not going to want to communicate with you
Mhm.
often,
Yeah.
or whenever there's a situation that arises, and they may be off put about even trying to compromise with you, negotiate, resolve a conflict. So just be
Mhm.
mindful of that, because people do feel off put about that, and that's normal. That's really normal, because how many people want to try to you know co- talk over somebody else
Mhm.
constantly, consistently? It's draining. We don't want to. People don't want to do that.
Mhm.
So just be mindful of that,
Mhm.
because it will help with your communication.
Yeah. How you come off to a person matters just as much as the issue that you're trying to express.
Hmm.
So even if you're really, really mad, it still matters that you express it in a way that it can be better received, and not in a way that it'll just create more anger within somebody else.
Right. You don't want to be overly aggressive
Hmm.
when you're trying to communicate with someone.
Yeah.
That might be leading to the cutoff. So
Hmm.
the person who's receiving, or who's talking, you also need to be mindful of your tone and how
Hmm.
you're speaking and how you're talking
Yeah.
to your significant other, and establish that later, um during that conversation of compromising, tone of voice, being
Yeah.
mindful of that,
Yeah.
because that's normal too.
Hmm.
Everybody likes to feel comfortable and don't want to feel don't want to be fearful when they're having a conversation that may be difficult in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, it's all about creating that safe space. You want that safe space so the person isn't fearful and they can feel like coming to you, because you want this person to come to you first, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, just go to you. Yeah. So all of these were first I guess the starter questions to get you started on, hey, what do I think my perception of the relationship is and how is it going? And then also, like my husband said, it would be great to give that to your spouse and let them answer it as well. And you'll just see the general inner perception of things. So we have as well some more questions that you could ask that really are geared towards the top 12 principles kind of that we carried on from last night when we were talking about the good characteristics of a healthy relationship. So with these characteristics, you want to sit and take the time to think, hey, do we have this within our relationship? And if not, these are some things that we're going to work on getting better at.
So these are kind of a little, I guess, a little bit more, like I said, specific and within, the context. So if you're having trouble being able to verbalize, your emotions or how you're feeling to your spouse, these will kind of help you think a little deeper about the things we have just talked about. So the first one would be, do we have mutual respect? So you ask yourself, do I treat the other person as if he or she is of value? Period.
Right. That is a good question because that could be a relationship ending answer. That if you feel as if you are not being, if the feeling isn't reciprocated in the relationship, the energy is not there.
Mhm.
You have to make sure that your significant other is willing to compromise with you. First, listen to that question, compromise and resolve. If you are not feeling valued in your relationship,
Mhm.
men should value their wives, and then husbands should also value wives should also value their husbands because we share different roles in the relationship.
Mhm.
So just be mindful of that, because if you are not feeling value in the relationship or a boyfriend girlfriend type deal, um, address that. See where it happens next. Give it some time. But if you're not getting any improvement within a couple of months, you might need to consider finding someone who values you
Mhm.
genuinely.
Yeah. Or asking your person in particular to show me, because maybe you don't know that that person values you, and they may do, but they just haven't expressed it to you in a way that you actually receive it as love. So it kind of goes back to the example of words of affirmation. If that is something that you know that you need in order to feel valued, then make sure you're telling your spouse, hey, I want to feel appreciated. Tell me thank you when I do this, or, whatever it is that you do, let them know that, hey, I need to hear you say this so that I feel valued in this relationship. That's a big one, because your partner could maybe value you, just, you're not getting it in the way that you would prefer. So, yeah.
And then number 2,
Mhm.
moving on. All right, do we have compassion? Do I have genuine concern for the issues that cause the other person's concerns?
Mhm.
So, um,
Yeah, that's
it just,
compassion.
yep, compassion, empathy. Do you share those with the situation that your spouse is going through or your significant other?
Mhm.
You should. I know that a lot of times growing up in a single parent household, you may not have these traits of compassion if
Mhm.
you've been neglected, or even if you have not seen the dynamic of what a uh, good husband and a good wife, the way that they treat each other.
Mhm.
So compassion, by all means, women love compassion, and a lot of times, they may say that men are not compassionate.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means that we don't having compassion means that you care for the way that your spouse feels,
Genuine concern.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeking to understand them
Mhm.
of whatever situation that they're going through. You're not talking, you're listening to them, and then seeing if there's any way that you can support them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always have to fix things, but often at times you just need that support, and be willing to give you information too on the best way that you can help them
Mm-hmm.
in their situation.
Yep.
So compassion is that understanding and being empathetic to their feelings.
Mhm.
Yeah, and women too, be compassionate towards the men, because that is a great natural trait that we have as nurturers, is to be empathetic and compassionate. If you see that your man has had a bad day, don't take out whatever you're also feeling about him on him in that moment in time. Instead, choose to be compassionate and have love for him, regardless if you guys were just in an argument or whatever the case may be. Take the time to say, hey, are you doing okay? I'm recognizing that this is going on. I know, whatever may happen, but in this moment, I care about you and I want to express this care for you.
Good answer.
Yeah. Next.
Do we have empathy?
Mhm.
So that's a
Yo, yeah.
segue.
Yep.
To what degree am I able to allow myself to be open to what he or she feels.
Mm-hmm. To what degree are you allowing yourself to do this? It goes both
Right.
ways.
That was something that empathy. I never really knew what empathy was when we were dating.
Yeah.
I never, to be honest with you, the old me never cared about any other person's feelings except for mine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very selfish. I didn't understand what empathy was, but how about this? I never understood what empathy was until I met you.
Oh, thank you.
But no, honestly,
No,
my
yeah.
wife just showed me what empathy was. I was like, what is empathy? I thought empathy was like really feeling what that other person feels, like some sort of telepathic,
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, actually trying, if she touched something, then I can feel it too. And I was like, I don't have empathy. But no, for real. But it's not that. It's really seeking to understand their feelings and what they're going through and why they feel the way that they do. Because that can help you to that will prevent you from having an argument, because you actually genuinely want to understand them
Mm-hmm.
and what issues that they're going through, so that
Yeah.
you can better help and support your boyfriend or your girlfriend in the relationship.
Yeah. I think not to just say it, but I think all people go through the whole, not to generalize, but I think kind of all people go through that
lot of
selfish stage. No, I genuinely believe we all do, just because we all come from the baby survival stage.
Like shit,
Yeah, and you need to
like
survive.
just mine.
Yeah. So it just naturally ingrains this I gotta get mine type of
Before you get
mentality.
yours.
Yeah, you like the kids with the CO. You eating too fast. Let me hit him and grab up some more so you don't eat it all, and I make sure I get some too. So yeah, it's kind of like a natural instinctual
That's
thing
greedy.
to survive. Yeah, but like a survival mechanism. But yes, it is a beautiful moment, and I think that is what love and God intended with love, is the opportunity to rise above the selfishness of the ego and say, hey, I see the soul, the spirit in you, and I want to understand and connect with you as well. And I know that there is no limitations in needing to be selfish, like I'm not going to get fulfilled or whatever the case may be, because if I seek to fulfill you in the relationship, you will also seek to fulfill me, if it is a good love based, reciprocal relationship. So
Right.
that's the beautiful part of love, for sure. Well, the next one, where are we at?
Number 4.
Okay.
Do we have understanding?
Mm-hmm.
Do I try to understand the other person, what they say or do?
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of it's basically peeling, like it's like peeling an onion. So we're asking questions
Yep.
that basically segue out.
Mm-hmm.
You should always try to seek for understanding, not trying to brush your significant other off.
Mm-hmm.
But you should always try to find ways, making sure that you're paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
That clear contact, that clear listening skills, and being clear and present. That's what I was trying to say. Being clear and present, showing ways that you are understanding them. Repeating back some of the words that they're saying, and not trying to, create an argument about everything.
Yeah.
You know,
And even thinking, it makes me think about understanding each other's triggers and the things that, could trigger an argument or whatever, understanding each other's likes and dislikes or vulnerabilities and sensitivities and all that other stuff, having a deeper understanding of why this person is the way they are, maybe even understanding their past, so that you can understand, how they got to that point, and even the things that they did to help improve themselves so that they became a better person or whatever. Just understanding full circle of the person that you're with, as well as understanding yourself. Because again, it just makes me think of the next question kind of that popped in my head is, do we have acceptance? And can I feel okay with the way that I am? So you need to first understand your spouse and then accept them for who they are, as well as you understanding yourself so you can accept yourself as who you are.
right. And then you know, realistically, you shouldn't try to change anybody. You
Mhm.
can't. You can't make change. You can't force anyone to change. They have to make the change for themselves.
Yep.
You know, yesterday I said that the best that you can do is inspire and motivate change.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Mhm.
So don't think that forcing change is going to make the relationship better, because what it's going to do is make it worse.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and you miss out on the good parts of the relationship right
right.
now. And we often think of, hey, when you're trying to get better, you miss the getting better part because you're just trying to get to the end. But there's all those great moments within the getting better parts that if you miss it, you won't be able to enjoy it. So it's okay for things not to be perfect and you still see the greatness in the situation.
Mhm.
Yep. So that one, I know because I said that pretty fast, but do we have acceptance? Can I feel I am okay the way I am? And do I accept him or her as he or she is? Next one.
Number 6, do we have honesty? Is the
Mhm.
relationship built on truthfulness, or are there games involved? So
Mhm.
is there uh, are you all not dating with the intention on getting married?
Yeah.
Basically, that's what
Mhm.
that question is. Are you dating with the intention on getting married, or are you gaming me and you have multiple partners on the side? So basically, I'm your side dude or your side chick.
Yeah.
That's what that question is. You do need to ask that question.
Mhm.
You need to know where your roles are and what you're doing and what stage or level you are with someone,
Mhm.
um, because it will better gauge where you want to be in a
Yeah.
relationship. Now, understand this: if you are in a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, a lot of times, man or woman, you may actually be involved with multiple people.
Mhm.
That question right there, that question asking, um, do we have honesty? Is the relationship built on truthfulness, or are these games involved, or are there games involved? Will let you know where you all stand.
Mhm.
Are you side? Are you a side chick, or are you a side dude? You know,
Mhm.
these are questions that, you know, people do ask these in relationships, and they want to know for sure. It's all
Mhm.
about honesty at this point.
Yeah.
You have to gauge the person that you're talking to, the person that you're dating, to really see. Because often at times, if it's a new relationship, they're going to lie to you
Mhm.
just to keep you around.
Yeah.
And often at times, it is because what happens is that, for men, they enjoy the convenience of sex, of course,
Mhm.
but for women, they enjoy the convenience of getting their bills paid. So
Or
you or
companionship.
companionship depends. Men too. It may be
Mhm.
companionship, but it's with multiple, you know,
Yeah.
women.
Mhm.
You have to pay attention to these things. So these are ways that this question here is a great way that you can find red flags in the relationship that you're currently in, and then so that you can do things about it.
Yeah.
If there's any perception of, lying or cheating in the relationship, if you ask this question, you should be able to find out based on the reply back, the body language that your significant other is displaying.
Right.
To be honest with you,
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
that question is a good one
Yep.
to find out, because we all want to be in a relationship where you're, be with someone who's being honest with you
Mhm.
100%, so
Mhm.
that your time is not being wasted.
Yep.
But also too, you need to know whether or not, if you are the only person that your boyfriend or girlfriend is dating,
Mhm.
because you may not want to be in that situation. Or if you feel as if it's worth it, it may be a situation where you understand, well, you know what, I might have to compete.
Mhm.
It's either or.
Yeah, but you still want that honesty of
Right.
knowing. And
Right.
if this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, and
Right.
let me sign up for that myself.
Right.
Mhm.
Because that's, sometimes the best person win.
Mhm.
That is a thing. If you want to compete for somebody, if you have enough energy and time for that, by all means, go for it. I'm
Yeah.
not the one to compete for anybody, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a little different, I think, for men. They don't really
Oh no,
want
no,
to compete
that ain't
too
true.
much. You
That
think
ain't
so?
true. No, beta males will compete.
Wow. Yeah,
They'll
that's
they'll
true.
compete. Beta males will
Very
compete
true.
because the convenience of what they used to get, they want to keep getting it. But once they find out that somebody else is getting it, they may be off put, or either they might step up and try to compete for the person because they thought they loved them.
Do you think that raises a good question for you? Do you think simping is competing, or is simping?
No,
Or like not competing, and it's just
no,
on its own.
It's like a hobby. Simping is like it is because you're not getting much out of it. You're settling, and you know it too. You know it. There's simps out there. Call in. Tell us how simping is working for you. But no, I mean, they a simp knows it. They should know it, that they're not the only one that their girlfriend is dating or talking to. So they basically are displaying how they are their role in the relationship, whether they're giving gifts all the time, paying bills, or whatever the case may be, but they're allowing their significant other to go out and date other men. They know it. They know it because why sometimes they may call them and not have access to their girlfriend, and they're like, wow, she ain't pick up the phone, so that's a beta male thing. A lot of beta males simp, and especially now in this internet age, they're giving money to women they don't even know, for stripping on the internet and things like that. That's simping too. You're just giving up money. It ain't what they say. It ain't tricking if you got it. A lot of these guys don't have it. They're just trying. That's a way that they're trying to compete for somebody.
It kind of is. Then that answers the question.
Right. So I mean, it kind of is, but
it's a low. It's when you're at the bottom of the pole in a way. So you gotta just throw it all out there and hope you get a fish.
Right, but that's you don't want to attract anybody with money. Money is not a great way to keep a relationship alive or to create one. If your relationship is based off of money, it's like building your relationship with a deck of cards. It's going to fall eventually if you keep stacking it. Love and where's love at in the relationship?
That
love
is
money.
true.
Because once the money's gone, then guess what? That person's gone. they looking for somebody else to sponsor them. In that relationship.
And that's the unfortunate part of simping.
Right.
That you don't when you
right. And don't God forbid you have a child with this person too. That's not the simp, but the person that the simper is sponsoring. You don't want that to happen.
Right. Well, okay, we kind of strayed off the topic a little bit. Sorry,
that's a good question.
Of curiosity. Okay, so back to our check-in, our temperature relationship check-in. So another question that would be great to ask is, do we have trust, and to what degree am I willing to let the other person know private aspects of my thoughts, feelings, and life? So it's more so about you and you feeling like, do I trust this person with my dark feelings and not for them to use them against me or in a way tell somebody or, whatever the case is? Do I trust them in that moment? That's a good way to know, hey, what's your temperature of your relationship? And is this a good thing to keep going or things,
Right. The vault. You want to be able to have a vault like situation with your spouse, your girlfriend or your boyfriend. You can tell them any and everything and they won't tell anyone else. And then in the beginning you might have someone who likes to gossip and is very excited about hearing gossip and news and stuff. You make sure you have that communication and talk and say, hey honey, I'm gonna tell you something, but don't tell nobody.
Right.
I know, and don't generalize and say that you always go out and tell all my business. Don't say stuff like that. But just let them know that, hey, this requires a high level of secrecy in what I'm trying to tell you. And be stern and honest with them and be forward and direct, and please don't tell anybody. This is not the time to expose these secrets to your best friend or girlfriend or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you have a high understanding to trust each other, and especially when there's secret things that are going on.
And honestly feel if you have done that as well. Am I actually offering up this information because I trust them, or am I not doing it because I'm fearful that they're going to go tell my business?
Right. That's true.
The next one, do we have good communication? So, kind of going back to the trust thing, of course, like my husband was saying, all of this peels back little layers. So, all of it is going to build upon each other. But you'll have to go in and ask, can we talk freely about issues that are important to the relationship? And do we know how to talk to each other so that we are understood about the issues within the relationship?
Right. Good communication. Communication is key to a happy relationship.
Mhm.
And then also to understanding what you all are communicating about. And then also to, moving forward with the actions afterwards, after
Mhm.
the communication too. That lets the other person understands too that you're, a
Listening.
good listener,
Mhm.
and you really care about the relationship. You
Yes.
value what they say, you value what they do for you.
Mhm.
That's involved with good communication as well, is the action that goes after
Mhm.
the information is received verbally
Mhm.
from your significant other.
Yeah, because what the old people say, go one ear and out the
Love
other.
them,
Then
yeah.
yeah, that's what they're saying. You're not doing the action that affirms that, hey, I heard you say this. So
Right.
yep, that definitely applies within the relationship. And also is kind of going building back onto the trust is the communication in a safe and healthy way. Am
Mhm.
I communicating my needs in a way that my spouse feels like I'm not hurting them, harming them, creating an unhealthy environment, and not doing those toxic behaviors to each other? Are we still trying to, if we have done them in the past, are we looking to get better at not doing them anymore? Just that temperature check in to say, hey, great job at doing this. You've gotten better with not doing this during our relationship. And thank you for doing this. And I see your progress. So I think a great relationship temperature check in is also great to keep the motivation going and congratulate each other on the progress that you've made. So if you communicated that, something you wanted to see change and your spouse took the initiative and made that change, this offers the opportunity to go in and say, thank you. Hey, I remember this change. I remember that conversation. I appreciate you for doing that. I don't know if I told you that, but I'm going to do it right now.
Right.
Yep.
This is showing that you value them.
Yep. Yep. Just like you said. Yep. Next one.
Number 9.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have consideration? Am I
Mm-hmm.
mindful of the other person's need as well as my own?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one too, because you need to understand that um, you're not a mind reader, but you need to understand what needs are not met in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, and then also to appreciate the ones that are met.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself first to also, you need to know whether or not your needs are being met in the relationship, but also to ask your spouse as well, do you have any needs or anything that I need to fulfill in this relationship? Anything
Mm-hmm.
that you're feeling empty about,
Yeah.
so that you can fill the void in
Mm-hmm.
this relationship. Understand that these questions that we're asking are not in a time of crisis, not when you all
Right.
are arguing.
Right.
You want to ask these questions when things are great.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
Yep.
often at times, the person, your spouse, your girlfriend, or the boyfriend needs to be honest with you. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
hard to be honest when things are great. You just
Yeah.
need to be mindful that, okay, we're doing this review. So, I would really appreciate it if you could do more of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not that you aren't, doing some of these things, but it will help me out a lot if
Mm-hmm.
you could on the weekends cook breakfast in the morning
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, or
Yeah.
something like that, or if you can go out and get the mail in the mailbox,
Mm-hmm.
something like that,
Yeah.
or anything to help out
Yeah.
or support your spouse, your significant other.
Yeah, because that's what the relationship temperature check is really trying to do, is be considerate of, hey, where do we stand in the relationship and how can we improve? Not, this is something that's a beat down opportunity. It's more so just creating constantly a safe space. And it will become easier and easier to do the more you do it. So you'll recognize that, hey, this isn't a time that we're trying to beat up on each other. This is a time that, hey, we're coming together and we're just checking in on each other and seeing, hey, is there something else I could be doing better? Or am I doing everything okay right now? What do you think? Like, I'm just trying to, check in and see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So consideration. It's always nice to be considerate to your spouse as well as yourself. So take that time to do that self-check-in within yourself. Am I getting enough sleep? Am I exercising like I said I was going to be doing? Am I eating right like I said I was going to be doing? Because all of that, believe it or not, contributes to your relationship and the overall health of how you come off in your relationship. Because if you aren't feeling good and you aren't at your best, sometimes you can put off that energy towards your spouse because, that's who you're with all the time. You just can't help that sometimes. So taking in and being considerate of myself and saying, hey, honey, yeah, I think I do need some more sleep. Or, man, I probably don't need to eat those burgers late at night. It makes me have bad dreams or I'm up all night, whatever. I don't know.
Gain weight.
Yeah, man, right. Whatever. The whole idea is to just check in not only on yourself, but on your spouse as well for the betterment of the relationship.
All right. Number 10, do we
Yep.
have compatibility and mutual enjoyment?
Mm-hmm.
To what extent do we like and value the same things? So yeah, you
Yeah.
can talk about hobbies and things that you all enjoy currently in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then try to see about doing more of those things to create more memories
Yeah.
of each other, which will build tighter bonds with
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
These are, that's good for a early relationship or either
Mhm.
also a marriage as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yep.
I think that we could do some of these things too, and then figure out, things that we enjoy doing together,
Mm-hmm.
and spend more time, doing that as well. Whether you like to just sit down and watch movies, go hiking, enjoying
Mhm.
each other's hobbies,
Yeah.
doing things that are different, that you normally don't do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So you can try to do these things on the weekend, but it's
Mhm.
very important to share your interests with who you are with so that they can better understand you as well.
Yep. Yep. And connect with you.
Right.
And maybe enjoy those moments with you in the sense of you guys can create that memory box and walk down memory lane of like, hey, this was a great day. Yeah, like you said, let's do more of this. We got to do this more. This is awesome. This really sparked up good feelings within us. And even intimacy in ways that were successful of creating a great night for you all, doing those things again and talking about those and those mutual interests and how that worked of creating another great spark within the relationship.
Right. I mean, you can carry that into, like you were saying, intimacy, talking about sex, things that you enjoy during sex, what you enjoy the most about it,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get the most enjoyment out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just that is important too, because you don't want your spouse to feel left out during
Yeah.
that, during those times as well.
Yeah. Yep. That is so true. And then also, so in areas of disagreement where, hey, you maybe don't like the same things that your spouse like, are we able to come to a good compromise on that? Or are we able to like agree to disagree there as well? That's healthy too, believe it or not. You don't always have to like what your spouse like, but is there a way that you guys can agree to disagree and maybe split the peaks in half, one topping on one topping on the other, right? A way that you can just come together and make it work. That's really important too, because it's not always going to be that, hey, I like doing everything with you and all that other stuff. You still want the autonomy of the relationship, but at the same time, you definitely want to know if, y'all do have y'all mutual interests in doing more of that.
And then also too, recognizing triggers. So that's a good way to start that conversation and understanding what triggers you, things that you find annoying about your spouse or things that they do, because maybe they need to do that less. To be honest, they should do that less.
Yeah.
And you will know based on their response, and try to get understanding from them in talking about those things, because what you're doing is trying to avoid arguments by knowing what triggers them. And then if it's something that, and then you will know, and also they will know if they need to go get help with that too, if it's some sort of trigger dealing with trauma, childhood trauma, or whatever the case, or previous relationship. Those are things that you need to clarify when asking that question as well.
Yep. Next, am I able to maintain my beliefs and a sense of self, as well as offer my time and attention to the relationship. So that again goes back to what we were saying about the autonomy and being an individual within your relationship. Are you able to maintain that sense of self and still hold on to the disciplines that you may have developed within yourself that gives you that personal integrity, your ethics, your morals? Are you able to still stand by that and be that same person, and even maybe get better at being, even
Who you
better
are.
person, based off of that? Yep.
Right. And men, your wife is not a robot.
Yeah.
Wives, your husband is not a robot. These people have emotions and feelings. So that is a good question to ask yourself and even your spouse, your significant other, about are their beliefs and their sense of self is being respected in this relationship.
Hmm.
That you need to gauge that, because you should allow your spouse to have identity within the relationship, and what it does, that makes them happy, that
Hmm.
allows them to be, um allow them to grow in the relationship
Yeah, and it shows that you accept them and love them for
for who
who
they
they
are.
are. And that is super big, especially for men in particular. Men want to feel accepted for who he is. And that, women, key note here, key jewel to drop for you, is that if you are looking to help better your man, first show him that you accept him and love him and value him for where he is at now. That acceptance alone will help give him the courage. If there is something he needs to work on, he can say, hey, at least at home I am accepted for who I am, but it gives me a little more confidence to go out in the world and do better and be better.
Right. And then also too, what it does is that it allows, in the relationship, for you to, like I said, feel comfortable in the relationship, so that you can have that have an identity
Yeah.
to better support who you're with as well.
Yep.
So you understand your roles in the relationship, and um, see where you can grow at in order to better support somebody.
Mhm.
Also, what that lets you know is that whether you are finding the qualities in the person that you're hoping to marry. That is a good question to ask, because if they are feeling like they are not being themselves in that relationship, or you get a sense that they are not really genuine in the relationship, then you may have to figure out ways to, like I said, let them know that. You need to let them know that. And if they're not willing to progress in that way, then you may need to cut your losses in that relationship
Yeah.
as well, because you shouldn't have to settle with anyone. You should find great qualities in the person that you are with
Mhm.
and build on those. They need to be
Mhm.
open to want to build on those qualities as well.
Mhm.
You're not going to find somebody with everything.
Yeah.
They're not going to have it all in the
Mhm.
relationship, but they need to have some sort of foundation in the relationship, and things that you like about them that are meaningful outside of looks, in
Yep.
which you both can grow, dealing with the characteristics of who they are.
Yep. And that's great. And it heads right into our last question, which is, do we have vulnerability? So, to what degree can I let down my barriers and allow the other person to see my perceived weaknesses without fear or negative reactions from them? Super big, talking right about what you were just saying. Am I able to be vulnerable with this person, show them that I am not perfect, and still feel that it's a safe space to do so, that they will love me, accept me, and, help me grow to be a better person in life?
Right. You barriers. You want to make sure you don't have any barriers before getting into a relationship.
Hmm.
Barriers make it very hard for you to connect with who you're trying to connect with, who you're
Hmm.
trying to build a relationship with. Fix those things first before you get into a relationship. It's not fair to carry your baggage into a new relationship. I say that over and over again.
Yeah.
But understand that if you can break those barriers down, you are allowing yourselves to grow into the relationship, allowing your significant other to get closer to you. Understand if you have barriers, and then also to significant other, address those barriers with your spouse who may have these barriers, and don't be aggressive about it. You know, you want to confront them and ask them about it, bring up facts, you know. So, you know, why do you feel, why do you didn't want me to hug you, or you're not a touchy person? You know, there may be some things that they want to open up with you in the vault, like I told you about, maybe some secrets there in which they had some experiences in the past that they're trying to work through. But let them know that they need to work with you on those, and that you will provide them a safe space to bring those barriers down, because it's hard to work with walls in a relationship, and you want to make sure that everybody's comfortable and understand that you all both can grow
Yep.
without fear.
That is true. Well, this was great. We kind of can't really summarize this one because we went all into all types of questions for you to do your relationship temperature check. So make sure play this back, send it to your loved ones to say, hey, this isn't for those times where things are going wrong. This is just a checkup to say, hey, how are we doing? If things are going great, great. What has been making it go great? And let's do more of those things. And then also, if things aren't, or if there's some ideas that you think we can improve on, here are some great questions that we can go in and talk about it to help us to dig a little deeper. So this is a great activity that is awesome in marriage, dating, or situationships and all in between. So have fun and really taking the time to do this at least once a month. It's not something you do every day. Certainly don't, and try to get your partner to dig deep every day. Like,
Right, yeah.
once a month is
Once a
super
month, or
cool.
even quarterly, you know,
Yeah, quarterly. Yep.
4 times a year, you know.
Yep.
You know, this,
Check it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure that you do your check-in. So
Yeah.
tell others to join. If you want to have any comments, please, by all means, share them with us.
Yeah.
And until next time, you all have a wonderful weekend. Peace.
How are you speaking?